them every single day. And maybe even just subconsciously they were thinking about it and processing it. I write down my goals all the time, and most of the time my yearly stuff I accomplish within month 6. I really think that will help a lot of you if you write down goals, and say if you have a year goal, you say, okay, what do I need to do within 9 months, 6 months, 3 months, 1 month? What do I need to start doing right after this meeting to accomplish what I need to do and to further my business? So goal setting, networking, those are all good things for your business as well.
Well, for me, I had to learn the hard way. I'm young, so I'm 21 now, and so I was 19, basically. I think when I walked through the door. I really didn't know the business. I mean, being that young though, you have more things going on. Like you want to do other things instead of learning the business. You got the talent, but you don't know the business side. You know what I'm saying? So, like I was more focused on other things though. So with me being like that and being so young, hopping into the game, it was me like I had to learn as I went, and I'm still learning right now though. Like a lot of stuff they saying right now, I'm sucking it in too, because it's like I gotta learn this stuff. Like still, like it's stuff that you don't. That you just don't learn when you like that young. But like at the when I produced Racks on Racks, and when that song came out, that's when like I started kind of like learning the business and everything started coming to me. Because before then everything was all play. It was all just I know how to do this now. I know how to make beats. I know how to do this. You know what I'm saying? Basically that's all it was. But then after that song came out, that's when I had like before the song came out. Actually, I had signed some paperwork unknowingly. I didn't know what was going on. And right after I done that, the song came out, and then everything just started. Everything just got real after that. Like that paperwork came to life on me. Like it just came back and I ain't gonna say it really messed me up though, but it's like being that young and basically getting burnt that early in the game. It kind of like make you bitter towards the game. Like you don't want to do it anymore. It wasn't so much of that. It was like, it was. I can't really explain it though, but it's more like publishing. It goes into there, and that gets real deep. Like publishing is still something I'm like working on and still learning, cause like the businesses. I feel like it's created for us not to understand it. It's created for us to be confused. Yeah, it's like when like being a human just naturally, if you don't understand something, you'll get frustrated and move on to the next project. You know what I'm saying? And just being that young too, that's what I was like. I was like, man, F this. I'm on to the next thing. I'm about to go do something else. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just how I felt though. But like as far as the business go too, you need to make sure you got people in your corner that's really for you. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't got. They not saying they ain't got nothing else to do though, but you just gotta make sure they for you. Like make sure they're in your corner, make sure they got your best interest. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people just go out and go find people who say they done this and that. They might have done this, but they might not got your best interest. They might just see a money tree for you. They might just wanna they might be just fending for themselves in this, and that's what a lot of people do though. So like that's one main important thing. You gotta go with people who you really trust, who's really for you, and who's really gonna go out and go work for you. And you gotta remember, you're the person with the talent. They just the business mind. Like without you, they wouldn't have a job. You know what I'm saying? Like they need you. That's how I feel. I feel like they would need you more than you need them, because there's always somebody that's gonna had the smarts. And it's really like everybody who got the talent. They got the talent, but they never have the plug to this person. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it is. Like you got the talent. You can make this. You can do that. But you ain't got the middleman. That's what they come in at. Like they kind of like the middleman for it, and they gonna do this to make this happen. But I mean, basically, without you though, they can't make nothing happen. And I'm not saying without them, you can't make nothing happen though, because I mean, it's a chance that something can happen. Not saying it's impossible though, but I mean, I find it easier that way though. But I forgot her name though. What's her name? Who just came out? Gina. Like Gina was saying, like most of the people, like you'll be surprised, like. And I'm still learning this. Like I'm going through it every day. Like a lot of people who's in the music industry and who's making a lot of money, like millions, they're not touching nothing. They don't do anything. Like everybody who's really suffering and everything, that's the people that's really making all the beats, making all the hits. Those are the people that don't, the unnoticed people is the people that's not making nothing. All the people who's noticed, they're not touching nothing. Like it's just like everybody who's hot and doing everything, they ain't gotta do no work. That's just how I go though. But I mean, but you just gotta work your way up and bust through the door and get your respect.
I don't know about that. I work very hard. lot of things.
No, I'm not saying everybody,
No, I'm
though, but I
messing with
mean,
you, man.
majority, though.
I often say that your floor is someone else's ceiling, and where you are, someone's trying to get you. For example, L.A. Reid is standing on my ceiling, and Clive Davis is on his ceiling. So I'm like, yo, what are y'all doing? Is that champagne? I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So I was meeting with a kid a couple weeks ago, and he asked me a question. He said, when did you get your first break? And I looked at him like, what? When did I get a break? Like, I don't feel like I've gotten a break. I feel like I'm working just as hard as the day when I first started. So I wanted to propose that question to you guys. When did you get your break? Where are you at in your career? Have you received a break yet? Or are you still working towards that big break?
I feel like I've gotten like 5 breaks. They come and they go, and it's like a roller coaster ride of like you're way up here and then you're down in the depths and you're like, I got some money, and then you're like, I'm broke. So, I mean, I remember when I got my first advance check, and I was like, oh, I've never seen this much money before. And I walked into the bank, and I was like, yep, I'm just going to deposit that in my checking account, and it feels really good. But, I think breaks are great, and nothing feels better. But I think it's also, we were talking about this last night over dinner, just about how many young producers and artists we know that'll get a big advance check and they aren't smart with their big break and they misuse it, and then 2 years later, a year later, they're selling off their assets like Michael Jackson trying to.
Uncle Sam is knocking on the door.
Yeah, and so I just think it's really one of those things where breaks come and breaks go, and it's all about what you do with those times and how you invest with that. It's something that I always think about.
I feel like you never stay stagnant. Like, yeah, you say you're a Grammy Award-winning songwriter, but I'm 24. Like, I still got a long way to go. Like, I'm still grinding, still pushing, still networking. You know what I'm saying? Trying to connect with other people. Still trying to get placement and still struggle with that. Yeah, you got the accolade, you got the title, but you still got to work. I still don't feel like I got my big break, I'm still working.
From the business side, when I was at Death Row, actually I was hired to create a hip-hop magazine because I'm also a writer. And, I made a lot of money at Death Row. And when I always say I escaped from Death Row, when I came to Atlanta, I had to start all over again. I tried to run my own label, and we pretty much had it for a minute, and then there was nothing. I managed a lot of artists, with no money, babysitting is what I call it. But for you artists out there, there's a word that you need to remember, and that's recoup. So no matter what you get, it's going back. So, it's like what Biggie Small said, I have lawyers to watch my lawyers. That always stays with me, because at the end of the day, you can trust the lawyer, but he was saying at the end, and I don't know if any of you are attorneys because I came in late, but
Better be careful, man.
you should still know what they know, and thankfully, in the age that you all are now, I mean, most of y'all could be my kids, you have the internet, and so there's a lot of agreements that are on there that are free. I wouldn't say use them, but study them, and then, like I said, you have a classroom setting, so you have a professor who's been in the game and really knows the ins and outs and the corruption. My partner over here on the end, Greg Taylor, G Music, he used to run Too Short Records and Dallas Austin's Rowdy Records, and he signed Little John and East Side Boys. And, one of the things that we have in common is he also managed Eric Sermon, and Eric and the whole Redman and all of them used to be in the basement of his rim shop. So it's like there was like the height of the music industry, and then it crashes and it changes, and you just have to be prepared to change with it. And one of the things I do at Turner is I license music from artists. So you also have to know the other avenues that your music can be used, So yeah, promotional side, I mean, back in the day, getting your music on television was like the last thing you thought about. And now if I told you how many millions of dollars that we spend to license music and keeping the industry alive, and how artists are just knocking down my door, I deal with every label, every pub, indie to unsigned. If your music fits our brand, then you can send it to me. And that's the other thing, know who you're sending it to. Because when I get music that has nothing to do with our brand, you've already shown me you haven't done your homework. So there's also music libraries. There's companies that do trailers. Timbaland is part of this company called Extreme Music, extrememusic.com. And Quincy Jones is on there, Exhibit's on there, Snoop's on there. And basically, it's all for the producers out there that you have a gang of tracks with nowhere to go. Those are the kind of companies you want to seek out. Angry Mob Music's another one. There's also Killer Tracks, Video Helper. You know, there's a company in Atlanta called Affix, which is more urban. You can check them out. And basically, it's all that music that doesn't have a home, and you can make a lot of money just doing that. So.
You want to start by raising your hand, saying who you are, and then we'll take your question. Anyone? Yes, sir. One more time.
For producers and writers on the board here, what do the producers look for in writers when they look for somebody to do something with one of their tracks, or what do the writers look for when they look for a producer?
Just my gut response would be chemistry. I think all of us would agree. I think just chemistry, that's a very diverse word to use, but that branches off into, just the energy. And I think, writing music is just a very emotional process, whether you're making the track, which is the music, or you're doing the top line, which is, the melody and lyric. Everything needs to be cohesive in that point. So I think just finding the chemistry, and you're going to work with some people that you're just not going to click with, and other people you're going to be like, dude, this is like peanut butter and jelly. This is great. So yeah, just my first gut response would be chemistry.
I'm Rome, artist. What type of music do you all produce, whoever produce up there?
Well, I do mostly rap, hip hop. I done produced, like I said, Rex on Rex. That was the first one that broke me through. Then after that came out, I did Same Damn Time. Then at the same damn time, I did Birthday Song. And right now, I'm working on a track with Beyonce. Well, it was produced by me, Timbaland, and Polo the Don. So I mostly rap, hip hop, R&B. We switching over to R&B now. Trying to get a bigger check now.
I produce mostly like pop and rock. I do a lot of organic stuff with like real drums, real guitars, all that. But I do everything from that to electronic stuff. It really depends. The industry is very demanding, and so I try to be as versatile as possible.
I think versatility is a very important thing to do. Don't be center-minded. I love working in pop, electronic dance music, hip-hop. If I'm feeling all sentimental, emotional, work on a ballad. But yeah, I also love working in international markets. I work with electronic dance music in Europe, the Netherlands. A lot of time keeps me busy with K-pop. You all know Gangnam Style, so that's keeping me very busy. But yeah, I think versatility is very important. If you're just like a pop guy, learn ballads. Or if you're just a ballad person, and if you just like writing ballad songs, definitely go out and branch out and learn how to write a dance song, or a rock, or country, or hip hop for that matter. Definitely don't limit yourself. The only limit you set is the one that you set yourself. So
I wanted to speak on your question. I don't produce, but as an artist looking for production, I know one thing that I try to do is get in the studio with producers. And instead of just emailing tracks back and forth, I find that for me, when I get in the studio with a producer, it's a connection that's being made. And I feel like, that's kind of how music was done when people was making real good music. They was actually in the studio with the artists, the producers was. And I also feel like as an artist, sometimes, artists, we got a big head sometimes. We don't want to be produced. But for me, when I start making a better, portion of my music is when I allow producers to give me direction and say, nah, do it like this, or you can write that verse better.
Well, I'm not a producer, I'm a writer, and I've done R&B, I do a lot of hip-hop hooks, and I do gospel. I've done gospel like with the Lecrae situation. I've written pop. Well, I got the most success with the gospel and my hip-hop hooks pretty much.
Sitting in the studio with Dr. Dre a lot. One of the things, I'm not a producer, but sitting with producers, and just recently even working with Jazzy Faye, one of the artists that we're working with, try not to sing over every track. You know, there's a lot of times we hear R&B tracks or even hip-hop tracks, and it's like you're trying to keep up with their production. You really have to know what your flow is and what your style is. And you know, the producer's going to have a certain sound because that's how they actually made it. But there's some tracks just aren't for you. It doesn't matter who it is. And so, and you know, you have to kind of know exactly what you're trying to say. But you do need to be willing to listen. Because I mean, I've been in studios where, like, even with Dre, he could hear just the smallest way in how you said the word and whether your D was pronounced. And, you know, a lot of producers have that amazing ear. So, you know, like he was saying, don't be stubborn, you know, sit back and be willing to learn until you can produce the track yourself.
Also, just kind of touching base on that, I think teamwork is a very important skill set to possess when you're in a writing or production environment, even on the business front. Teamwork is just super important. You look at, like, the best movies, Steven Spielberg doesn't do that on his own. He has a great team behind him, and so when you're in co-writing sessions, you need to be able to, you know, get along with the interns all the way to the A&Rs and the CEOs who are walking into the studio. Also being able to communicate with assistant engineers, the engineer, the tracking engineer. You need to be able to be a team player. And that also influences the chemistry, kind of going back to stage one is what I said. So definitely just be a team player, and that will definitely help you along the road.
And I'd like to encourage you not to compartmentalize the music. You know, oftentimes people are trying to say, I do pop, I do this, I do that. Just do great music, just do good songs.
I concur.
You know, I meet people, I met someone, they're like, I do jazz, funk, pop. I'm like, what is that? What does that sound like? I don't even know what that is. You know, just give me a great song at the end of the day. So I think it's important that you're not really focused on any genre specific. Just look at, you know, doing great songs. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
My name's Kayla Wilson. My question is for the writers.
So everybody can hear.
Hello, everybody. My name's Kayla Wilson. When you're a writer, what is something that helps you be creative when you're creating music, and not even just in the studio, just in general?
I just think, you know, everybody has stuff that they love to do outside of music. And so I think it's healthy as a creative person to give time to those passions. I know for me personally, like, I love being outdoors, I love hiking, like that kind of stuff. So being out there is where I get a lot of my inspiration, and then I bring that back into the studio. And also, to kind of elaborate on that, some of the other questions, you know, I am first and foremost a writer. I kind of fell into producing. And I started learning how to produce and build tracks and mix and master and engineer and all that stuff to fuel myself as a writer. You know, you might be a lyricist, and that's great, and you can work with a team, but I think everybody should always be looking for different ways to step up their game, to bring something else to the table. You don't just have to be a lyricist. You can go learn how to play the piano a little bit. You don't just have to be somebody who comes up with the melody. You can learn how to make beats. Like, there's just a lot of other stuff that you can be doing to further yourself as a writer. You know, you don't have to just be confined to be doing top line on the tracks that are given to you.
I haven't had a writer's block in I don't know when, like years. But it's been because I just talk about what's really going on in my life. And that's where a lot of my music flows from. Like my friends' life, people that's going, you know, that's around me. I feel like that's how you make timeless music. You know, I feel like that's how you make music that connects with people when you speak about what's really going on in your life.
Well, he stole my answer.
Oh, okay. Touching base on that, I also think that, you know, writing music should be a very natural, organic process. You know, it definitely comes from here. So just like a little tip or trick, that if you're frustrated on a line or you're frustrated on figuring out the next chord progression or whatever, don't be afraid to step away. Go for a walk. Hear the birds chirp. Sometimes just refueling, you know, your creative engines will definitely help. And sometimes when I'm sitting there trying to work on something and I have a deadline and I'm not coming up with anything creative, I need to step away. I'll go see a movie, just not think about it, and then I'll come back and it'll be all done in 30 minutes. Sometimes I would rather step away from the frustration. Maybe
you want to be able to feel like that person can be more than your business partner. You want to be able to feel like that person can be your friend. Like you can call them, just say, how you doing? You know, like it's got to be like that. That's how I feel. It's got to be that type of relationship for me to even think about having you own the business with me. But one thing I will say, I would never get my family involved with business, because that's when stuff start getting kind of messy and like I don't know, it's just hard dealing with your family and with business though. But I mean, I would just try to find people that I really trust and I really like, and you know that can be more than a business partner to me. Like I said, be a friend or somebody who I can just call and chill with. If we want to go out to the club or something, we can go do that. Or you know, just somebody who's like legitimately your friend.
I'll also say, to piggyback on that, somebody who's smarter than you. You know, somebody who's hustling is harder than you. And it doesn't have to be like for publicity. It doesn't have to be the Chambers Group. You know, there's Marvette Brito, who's amazing. If they have too many big artists, then you're just going to be on the shelf. So if you have someone that's in the grind with you and they're trying to come out and you see that they're really getting out there and they're doing their homework to find out which the magazines and which Twitter accounts and the TuneCores and, you know, everything else, and you see them doing that, then you know they're going to work hard for you too. Management, same thing. I mean, managing is, back to you, is difficult. I've been there. It is like babysitting, and it's stressful, and you know you're there and then you're not there, and so you always have to stay ahead of the curve, and literally, you know, even if this artist gets too big for you in their head, at the end of the day, someone's going to recognize, you know, like the Johnny Wrights of the world, and all these amazing managers like Blue Williams and all those guys out there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about you grinding just as hard, if not harder than they are. And like he was saying, they should be like family to you. They should, and don't hire family. Sometimes you don't even want to hire your best friends either, because that can break friendships, and I've been down that road too.
There's this real cool book that this cool guy wrote, and it's called 10 Steps to Successfully Managing Recording Artists. And in that book, I don't, but I can do all my content.
So you get you a good team, put you a good team together.
It does not have to be a environment.
I mean, I'm on it. Connect is what's going to make it work. Me, I'm on connect. My job is to get made the record. I do it. Whenever you see me, that means shit. Everybody out there, we all signed. We all set. We got real good. I'm going to try to be as many. Right? You got that 210-275-7. Yes, sir. Now, yes, sir. Just keep it around. Who? Everybody sitting there taking all day. Atlanta. What are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't know. The battle.
That's a very good question. I work a lot of hip-hop, so I have a hip-hop all the songs.
And I'm having blessings with my
Very interesting. Well, it's interesting that I didn't track for his first album, so as a Korean, he was the first Korean artist to have success in America. I met him, and he and I become partners and produced so he pretty much opened up the two sides. I had no idea about this a year ago, since I was kind of it's a mess. I mean, I could talk about it for hours.
not.